with Dean Todd J. Clark from Widener, Delaware Law School. He's an attorney, also a professor, and he runs the Delaware Law School in Wilmington, Delaware, specializes in corporate law. It's a pleasure to have you here, Professor.
Camila, thank you so much for the invitation. I've been excited to partake in this opportunity. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time so far at UNIVALI. So thank you for this opportunity and for the opportunity to have this conversation now.
Thank you. So, first of all, we'd like to learn a little bit about your career, how you started, where you studied, and how you ended up in corporate law.
Oh, wonderful question. So I'll try to give you the condensed version of my life story. So when I graduated law school, I actually began practice in all places in West Virginia, and I worked there at a large law firm called Steptoe and Johnson, and I loved it. It was great people, great time, but I knew that I wanted something different. I didn't like the fact that I had a really controlled amount of work that I had to do. Like the work came to me from a partner that said, Todd, do this. And sometimes I would do that work and I'm like, but that's so cool. And I had this intellectual curiosity that for me wasn't satisfied by merely being a lawyer. So I knew that I wanted to start teaching, and I got an opportunity to teach at West Virginia University College of Law, and that began my legal career. And I loved it. I loved working with students. I loved, at that point I had time to chase rabbits down the rabbit hole. Like if there was an interesting topic, I could research it and think about it, and that opened my eyes to scholarship. And when I originally started teaching, I thought that I wanted to really focus on employment discrimination. I always loved contracts. And so, when I began teaching, I kind of focused on those areas. But I also have business savvy. And so while I was in practice, I did an MBA at West Virginia University, and so I wanted some appreciation for business concepts. And knowing that I love contracts and business concepts, I knew that corporate America is a place where I wanted to place my focus and energy. And from there, I got a job teaching in North Carolina. And that first position, they were like, Todd, you're going to teach corporations. And from there, it was like corporations and contracts, corporations and contracts. I've taught sports law a couple of times, employment discrimination. The course on which I did my presentation recently on corporate justice, I've had an opportunity to do that, and also teach a class called Hip Hop Law and Social Justice, which is a fun course. We'll have to have some conversation about that one day. But that's how I began focusing on corporate law, and I taught for 13 years, and then I transitioned to a school in Miami, and I taught there for another 4 years. And throughout that experience, I realized that there was a better way, from my vantage point, to engage in legal education. And at that point, I realized that to have that experience and to enhance legal education, I needed to move into administration. And I set that as my target. And I was fortunate enough to become the associate dean, which is the number two at a law school, while I was at a law school in Florida. And I went out onto the market and had a number of opportunities, but I chose Delaware Law School because of the special community, amazing faculty, phenomenal students. I'm a corporate lawyer, so there's no better place to be in the world than the state of Delaware. The cases that I taught in my course book, when I'm in Delaware, I get a chance to hang out with the judges that rendered the opinions, and the lawyers that litigated the cases are my alum. And so for me, it's like pinch yourself, you're in heaven.
I was going to mention exactly that. For a corporate lawyer, being in Delaware must be something exceptional, right?
Oh, it really is. I mean, there's this really famous case in corporate law. It's called Smith Van Gorkum. Very important, and it sets the fiduciary standard for board members and exercising their duty of care. And this was a case that I taught for 20 years, and it's a really important case. I get to Delaware, and one of my graduates worked with the person that litigated the case. So we're sitting around talking about the stories behind the story. And he's like, Todd, this particular person had more money than you can ever imagine. And he flew the person out and they took him out on the yacht. Like, you get a chance to hear all of these backstories. And I mean, it's so amazing for me. And I get a chance to bring those stories back into the classroom. So it really is a special experience to be in the state of Delaware.
And for students pursuing the legal education, I assume that being in such a prestiged university like Widener Delaware Law School helps them meet and study those cases you just mentioned, right? You even have the Supreme Court sessions every now and then on campus. Could you talk about that?
We do, and that's a wonderful experience. So, what I like, this is from my vantage point, and if anybody disagrees with me in the United States, they're wrong. So, I believe the second most powerful court structure in the world sits in the state of Delaware. And that's because 68.2% of America's Fortune 500 companies are incorporated in the state of Delaware. So what that means is that Delaware law applies to govern those relationships related to the internal affairs of those companies. So if there's a dispute, Delaware law applies, and oftentimes those disputes are litigated in the state of Delaware. And what happens is we have this specialized, phenomenal court called the Delaware Court of Chancery. And that Delaware Court of Chancery has highly sophisticated judges that have a high level of expertise in business concepts. All of those cases go through the Delaware Court of Chancery in the state of Delaware. And if the result in that case is unfavorable to one of the parties, that party has the ability to appeal that case to the Delaware Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the state of Delaware. So literally, those two Delaware courts are setting the tone for not just corporate law in America, but corporate law across the world. When you have a Brazilian company that wants to do business with the United States company and they form a joint venture, oftentimes the governing law will be the law of Delaware. And it's because the law is so well developed, the judges are highly competent, the wealth of case law provides a high level of predictability, and people want that security. My students have access to those resources. My students have the ability to hear the Delaware Supreme Court have oral argument at Delaware Law School. And the cool thing that they do is when that happens, they often have select cases where Delaware Law School lawyers are the attorneys in those cases. So that brings a great sense of pride to the law school and our community. And we are the only ABA accredited law school in the state of Delaware. So that's pretty powerful and impactful.
Amazing. And as I was told, UNIVALI students, they are also able to experience all of this if they take the dual degree. Could you talk a little bit about our partnership?
Yeah, our partnership has been phenomenal. Since 2018, we've had approximately 75 students that have pursued studies at Delaware Law School and completed degrees at from UNIVALI and completed degrees at Delaware Law School. And we're really proud of that. We offer a number of degrees. We have a Master's of Jurisprudence, an LLM, and then we also have the doctoral degree, the terminal degree in law, the SJD. In addition to that, we have some certificate programs. And for individuals that are like, I don't want to do the degree, we have legal studies where, people come together over the course of the summer in the United States and get some high level understanding and expertise in specific areas. And so we're really proud of those opportunities. I would say that the partnership has been, I think, very valuable to both institutions. As part of that, we've done some wonderful collaboration work where we've sent a number of our professors here to study and to write articles. We came together and wrote a book together. I was just sharing with some people here at UNIVALI that we hope to continue to expand it even further and work together to apply for grants together in the United States and in Brazil. So that's an exciting opportunity. And now we'll continue to allow for faculty here to come to the United States and faculty in the United States to come here, because it's that sharing of knowledge where you can sort of elevate your practice area or elevate the knowledge base in that particular subject area. And so I think just coming together gives us a unique perspective and you see things differently. And for example, I just got a chance to meet with a wonderful student who will be studying at Delaware Law School, and she's a small claims judge. And she sat and talked about she wants to do some analysis of small claim courts in the United States because she's read and has an understanding that those courts are really efficient. And she wants to study those courts to see what they do well and extract that knowledge and bring it back to Brazil and create policies and procedures to make courts here more efficient. I'm sure she's going to see some things that you do in Brazil that are better than the things that that we do in the United States, and being able to meet with those judges and share that information, that can be a valuable piece of research that benefits both sides of the ocean.
Perfect. That's it. I mean, every time you travel and you get to interact and exchange experience, both parts grow, right? We learn and we teach at the same time. The interculturality is amazing.
It is.
And talking about interculturality, our students, when they go to Wilmington, they can stay on campus. How's housing? Can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, definitely. We are, so in the United States, typically our college experience is associated with student life, and student life is associated with student housing. That's typically for our undergraduate experience. Law schools typically do not have student housing. It's a rarity. But Delaware Law School, our campus is really unique in that we have 32 acres, 317,000 square feet of space, which is equivalent to like 3 really large buildings. And what ends up happening is we have a lot of dorms. So we house about approximately 150 students between our graduate students, like the UNIVALI students, as well as our Juris Doctorate students, our typical law school students. And it creates for a really unique experience, because if you're a student from UNIVALI, you literally can live in a dorm or live in a townhouse that is directly across the parking lot from the law school. So you can wake up and walk 30 seconds and sit in class. And I think that that's valuable in a number of reasons, because when we bring students from UNIVALI, I really want those students to immerse themselves in the law school culture, and having the ability to live in the dorm and live with the students in the JD program, and international students from other locations where we have partnerships. So that like sort of cross collaboration, and with the JD students, and they're able to, sit in the law library and study with those students and be in close proximity. So that's really unique. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the geographic proximity of Wilmington. I mean, if you come to Wilmington, you will love it, because you can take a train and be in New York in an hour and 44 minutes. You could take a train and be in the center of DC in an hour and 29 minutes. And when I tell you, when you take that train to New York, you are in the heart of New York. And you could go to Broadway or do whatever else you want to do in New York. In addition, we're about a 25 to 30 minute drive from Philadelphia, probably closer to 25 minutes. It's not far at all. I mean, it's a wonderful place just to be able to get out and see some of those places that you read about or that you've heard about. You have access to that. The other thing that's really powerful is, because we're in Delaware Law School and because of our location, like you could get to the New Jersey border in 5 minutes, the PA border in 5 minutes, and you could be in the Maryland border in a short period of time. And because of that, we have alum in all of those different places. And that alumni, when you become a Delaware law student, becomes a part of your network.
Excellent. So, Dean Clark, for us to finish our conversation, I'd like you to talk directly to our friends and students and maybe invite them to come join you.
I would love to have you come and join us at Delaware Law School. This is a place that we take a great level of pride in providing a safe space. We take a great level of pride in focusing on dignity. We take a great level of pride in focusing on student services. And we would welcome the opportunity. I have loved my time here at Brazil, and I'm hopeful that you decide to join us at Delaware Law School in Wilmington, Delaware, and enjoy your time with us and me at Delaware Law.
Thank you.
Thank you.